No biffid zone.
This knife has a straight edge on it, so it's very easy. And maybe in our world here, there lives a happy little mountain.
What's up, living leashless friends, and welcome back. We are super excited to talk about today's topic. If you do not know us, I go by Little E. I'm married to a Big E, and you'll hear a Baby E in the background because he loves being featured in these videos. I'm super excited to talk about today's topic, and it is 10 things that we could not travel without. So, a little backstory about us if you don't know anything about us. We went on a year-long backpacking trip all around the world. We circumnavigated the entire world. We did it in 45-liter backpacks and a day pack, which was our carry-on and then personal item on all of our flights. With that being said, my husband has diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and that was something we had to plan and pack for. So we like to give a lot of travel tips. Packing with diabetes, traveling with diabetes, budget traveling, backpacking in general, and yeah, we just are trying to answer a lot of questions that we have been getting. Okay, so the first item that we could absolutely not do without is going to seem a little bit obvious, but we also have a spin to it. So the first item is a converter. So whatever country you're from, you're probably going to need some sort of electrical converter to convert you to the electricity system of the country you're traveling to. We got one that was a universal, so it had all these little things that you could change it out and stuff and get it to wherever, you know, like it was all one thing that covered like most of the countries that we were going to travel to. I think we only needed to purchase one other country that was a little bit random, maybe like Tanzania or something. Anyways, so just get a universal charger. Also one with USB ports. I'll link below the one that we used. We loved it. We didn't have any problems with it. It worked for every country and it lasted our entire trip. And that's the thing about like converters and stuff is they seem to break. Like we've owned several, but they just don't last. We really liked the one that we got. We also packed a couple like spares just in case for like the EU places, you know, that we were going to spend a lot of time. So anyways, but the other part of this is a car charger. We rented so many cars while we were traveling because it was just more convenient for us. You can move at your own pace. You can leave your stuff in the trunk locked up instead of leaving it in a hotel room or in a hostel if that's what you're doing. And also, as you guys know, Eric and I love to get off the beaten path. So it was really hard and really expensive to get to some of the remote places that we wanted to go. So we rented a car and needed a car charger because, you know, sometimes we just slept in the car. You know, I don't know how well you all know this, but we slept in the car quite a bit actually when we rented a car. And so we needed a car converter. And luckily most cars, or at least all the ones that we rented, all had the same like cigarette plug lighters. Here's an honorable mention for these things, and this is one of these. It is a car, it has a car charger port thing on it, but it transfers it to, has 2 USB and then 1 standard plug with a ground, so we could plug our computer in with this, and that was really handy. So that's just an honorable mention. I wouldn't say it was like a have to have. The second thing also a have to have was a micro travel blanket, and that is this thing right here. We took one of these and we used it all the time for all kinds of random things. Like, I'll unfold it here. This is how big it is, so it takes almost no space in your backpack. You can actually probably fold it a little smaller, but, and then it opens up to be huge. And again, I'll link all this stuff below, but I don't know if you can tell how big this thing is, but it's pretty good size. And it's fairly like water resistant. So we used this to cover our backpacks when it was raining. We used it to block out light whenever we did sleep in the car. We obviously used it as an actual blanket. If we needed to set our stuff down somewhere where we thought it was a little bit like, you know, not the cleanest or whatever, and we didn't want to get stuff on our backpacks, we would put this down and then it was easy to wash later. We use this for everything. Now, actually, we keep it in our diaper bag and we use it for our child all the time for diaper changes, just setting him down to play somewhere. It is so handy. I could list forever like what we used it. I'm pretty sure I used this as like a rain jacket at some point, all kinds of things. Definitely get one of these. We have 2 or 3 now because after our travel trip, we were like, these have so many uses. Yay! And he approves too. So, travel blanket. Number 3 is a fee-free credit card or debit card. And what I mean by that is you need to have some sort of card that has 0 transaction fees. And preferably, what we like to suggest is the Charles Schwab cards. So we have a debit card through them that charges us no fees to pull out money in other countries, which is super convenient, and also saved us hundreds, I don't even know how much money, hundreds of dollars at least, because even the ATMs that did charge us, they reimburse you for it. I couldn't even believe it was a thing. I'm so happy I came across it before we traveled, because that saved us a ton of money. And then we also didn't feel the need to, like, we saw people that would go to the ATM and pull out like hundreds of dollars in like Thailand, somewhere where you could live on that for like ever, but a lot of money because they were like, oh, I don't want to pay the fee, and we were just like, we don't have to do that. So we just got out like what we needed for a couple days, and then we'd just go back to the ATM. Always keep a cash reserve, but you know, we didn't feel the need to like pull out a ton of money, and it really saved us a lot in the end. The other side to that is a credit card that has 0 foreign transaction fees. I always suggest to everybody, if you're doing a year-long travel trip, just get the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It has a huge like annual fee, but all of the perks you get like the $300 travel credit, you get TSA PreCheck or Royal Global Entry, whichever one you want to do. You get Priority Pass lounge access, which is just amazing for when you're traveling because you're in airports a lot. Anyways, that one has 0 foreign transaction fees. You don't have to get that one. There's other Chase cards, there's other credit cards in general that have 0 foreign transaction fees. But you look into something and get something that's suitable for you as far as like annual fees, perks, and all that goes, because you do not want to be paying tons and tons and tons of fees while you're traveling, especially if you're long-term traveling. So, number 4, what are you going to hold that credit card in? A lot of people get the like fanny pack looking, or the one that the lanyard. I actually have one over there. I could have gotten it, but a lot of, I'm just going to get that. Hold on. Okay, so a lot of people carry their passports in something like this. This is a lanyard passport. You can wear it around your neck and then hide it under your shirt, like around your belly area. And also it has the RFID protection here too, to protect all of your documents. But we hardly ever use this because it was just bulky. And also, if you put this under your shirt and you're going through an airport, guess what you have to do to get your passport out? You have to lift your shirt up. And that was something that, like, I had done all this research and nobody ever said that like, maybe you wouldn't want to lift your shirt up if you're in, like, India, somewhere where it's very conservative. You know, like, I don't know. We just really didn't use this. But what we did use was a spy belt. And I wish I had ours to show you. We completely, like, mutilated that thing over our travel trip, just because we used it every single day. We used it all the time. And also, my husband being a diabetic, he used to use it for running, and he would keep like his carbs and his, you know, diabetes supplies and stuff in there, and it was excellent for that. So by the end of our travel trip, this thing was basically trash. We actually still kept it, and we duct tape it because we still use it. He uses it randomly for running. But anyways, again, I'll like link it below, or maybe put like a picture right here or something of it. They're excellent. It stretches out. It was perfect size for our passports. This is an old passport of mine. It was perfect size for our passports, credit cards, a little bit of cash, just like our absolute necessities. And then Eric would wear it around his waist and then put it inside of his pants, which is what everyone suggests. Like, definitely wherever you keep your most important documents, you want to keep them on you at all times, and also somewhere hidden, not in your pocket, because, you know, pickpocketers are a real thing. And if you lose your passport, that's big trouble. And you might even have to come home. And so the spy belt was absolutely awesome. So number 5 is a UV Light or Sanitation Light, and all it is about 8 inches tall. You stick it in any transparent liquid, turn it on for like a minute, and it kills all of the bacteria and everything that you do not want to ingest into your body while you're traveling. We use this a ton. Sometimes you just really can't get bottled water. When we did the Everest Base Camp trek, you just got whatever water that these people would go find you on the mountains. I mean, just so you're just at the mercy of the mountain there. And I mean, maybe you're not planning on getting off the beaten track and doing trekking and things like that like we did. But still, like if you go to any third world country or any country that doesn't have like good water filtration systems, or their standards are not the same, you're going to be exposed to bacteria that is from their country that your body has never ever seen. We got sick one time each the entire year, and I'm sure that this Sani Light had something to do with keeping those numbers really low for us. Also with the Sani Light, you can take like UV pills or little things that you can add to water in order to sanitize them. We did take those as well, and we did use them as well, especially when we were on the Everest Base Camp trek. We did both because this water, when they gave it to us, it had like chunky floaty things into it. But this is up on the mountain. Like, you just take whatever comes out of the river or whatever that they have and whatever they're storing it in. All the things that you don't know about Everest Base Camp trek. But anyways, take a couple forms of like water sanitation because your health is imperative, and you don't want to, one, spend any of your time or money in the hospital or going to doctors because you're sick, and two, you know, if you get sick enough, you don't want to have to come home. Alright, I think it's this kid's nap time what we're going to see. So, speaking of water and things that you need to drink while you're traveling, we also suggest this thing. It's called a bladder, and I don't like calling it that because I'm like, that's not something I want to drink out of. But anyways, this is a 3-liter Seeker water bladder, and this thing was awesome because when it's empty, unlike a regular water bottle, which we did take one regular water bottle as well. No, we took 2. And but this thing is great for whenever you need to take a lot of water with you. So if you're going on a day hike or doing something like the Everest Base Camp trek, speaking of, you just need something to hold a lot more water, but also you don't want it to take up a ton of space in your pack. So this thing, when it rolls down, it is about the size of the travel blanket, and if not smaller actually. It's really, really small. And 3 liters was perfect for us because it was big enough to do like day hikes, no problem. Like, we didn't have to worry about dehydrating, but it rolls up so small that it didn't take like any room in our backpacks. Next thing, so number 7 is a headphone splitter. This thing was awesome for us. We like to download a lot of podcasts and things onto the phone. Well, instead of like just sharing one earbud each, this thing is super tiny, and it just makes it where you can plug a single microphone jack, or like you plug it into the single microphone jack, and it splits it off where 2 people can listen to it. This was super cool for like flights, layovers, just like bus rides, things like that, where we wanted to listen to something, but you know, instead of downloading it on 2 different phones or just sharing, we could each have our double headphones. This cracks me up. I love how much like light goes down in the time that it takes me to film these videos because of our baby, but you know what, here we are. Okay, so headphone splitter and headphones, we already covered that. Definitely just bring it. Takes up like no space. All of these things obviously are very small, and like I said, we only had half of a backpack to pack in. I would like to address one thing when it came to this thing that I was like, we didn't really use this. I meant kind of that we didn't use it for what its purpose was, which was like hiding stuff in it. I did use this to keep all of our spare money. I actually said in another video, I go ahead and print off all of the currencies of the countries that I know we're going to, like the Thai baht, Tanzania, like the rupee for India. I printed off some money before I ever got to each of those countries, before we ever left America, and kept them in here, and also like special things that we would come along the way, whether it be like plane tickets that I wanted to keep, our international driver's license, things that we didn't use like hardly at all. I did end up keeping it in here, and it was really organized, which was really handy. So, all right, next thing, number 8, the Mac Daddy. This thing is awesome. We absolutely could not have done it without this thing. It saved our butt so many times. So this thing, we named it the Mac Daddy. That's not actually what it's called. Is an external power bank. This one specifically is RAV power. So it has 2 USB ports, and this saved our butts probably 100 times. I don't know how many times our phones would die, and I did have an external battery on my cell phone. Now Eric didn't have one on his, but I did have one on my cell phone, which was our primary cell phone that we used. But this thing was key so many times. There were so many places that like did not have electrical outlets. This thing holds several charges. I want to say online it says like maybe 5 or 6. I'll look it up, and again I'll link everything below, and then you guys can read about it. But I would say it does even more than that. Like maybe if your phone was like dead, like you were using it and it takes like 10 minutes to turn back on, maybe that many. But this thing was awesome. Could not do without that. And we just kept a spare cord. This was not our regular cell phone charger cords. This was another one that we just kept in the case. So it came with this really cute case from RAV Power. We kept all this together, and then that way if we ever forgot our cell phone cords, or if we were out and they were plugged in at our hotel room or something, we still had this thing on us, so we could, you know, like GPS our way back or whatever we needed to do with our cell phone. This thing was so great. Okay, so another thing, and ours was hot pink, number 9, a silk sheet set. Okay, so you can buy one of these before you leave the United States, or if you're planning on going to Thailand, that's where we ended up getting ours. We got a double silk sheet set that also had an insert for pillows. It was so cool. It was maybe somewhere between $6 and $8 US, really cheap. I don't believe ours was real silk, like, you know, the vendor said it was real silk, but like I have some silk things in my life, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably just like polyester or something. So anyways, you know, whatever, it worked the same. So it's a silk sheet. They fold up super small, and they dry super fast. So like you can wash them really quick in the sink, hang them up when you go out all day, and then come back and it will most certainly be dry. This thing was amazing for like so many reasons. We saw people that suggested them before we left, but we did not buy one because I was like, well, we have like our travel, you know, blanket, it'll be fine. But yeah, we bought one. And that's because even though like you can read as many reviews as you want on places before you book them, and you're just going to end up in places where you would rather not get in those sheets, believe me. And one funny story we have about this, probably shouldn't even tell everybody this, but so we got to New Delhi, India, and neither of us had ever been to India. I don't even know anybody that's been to India. We didn't have a whole lot of people ask. It was all internet research. We knew that sometimes like the cleanliness standards aren't the same there as you know what we're maybe used to, but it was like shocking. I was so happy that we had that silk sheet set, and we pulled back the covers. We got in really late. We got really lost. I was so scared. I think we got to our hotel, which had great reviews, by the way. The guy was very nice. Like, we really liked him, and he ended up ultimately hooking us up with our guide. His name was Tony, who was amazing. So, like, we're very glad that we went to this hotel. But, guys, yeah, we pulled back the sheets, and it looked like somebody had literally, like, pooped in the bed, and then they had just covered it up. Like, I wish I was exaggerating, but that's exactly what it looked like, and it was really gross. There was, like, stuff all over the walls. Mind you, again, this was not a cheap place. Like, I had read a lot about India, so I had booked a little bit, like, what was supposed to be more expensive of an accommodation. But man, Like, I was so glad. So obviously we ripped, or actually no, we just put the comforter back on. So like the top of it looked okay. Otherwise we would have probably said something to the guy when we went in there. And the reason why we didn't is because Eric and I are very non-confrontational people, one. Two, it was already super late and we had woken this guy up. Like, most obviously he came down like in his pajamas. Because we had gotten there so late, even though checkout or check-in had closed hours before. And we were in a new country and I was just kind of scared. We were exhausted. Like, I didn't want to leave. Like, I didn't want him to kick us out of this hotel because where the heck would we go, you know, afterwards. So it was just kind of one of those things where you just kind of got to roll with the punches. And like I said, he was very kind. More than likely, like, hindsight, he probably would have maybe gotten us a new sheet set or something. I don't know what happened. If they just didn't change them or something. I don't know. Anywho, what we did is we put that comforter back on and then put our silk sheet set right on top of there and got into it. And I was so thankful. Like, we used it lots of other times other than that, but oh my goodness, that was the time where I was like, I would pay $100 for this thing right now. Anyways, just pack it with you. It doesn't take very much space at all, and if you're ever in a situation like we were, you will be so happy that you packed it around. It was worth it 100%. So that's number 9. And that's our really disgusting story to go with it. I'm probably gonna get so many people like judging us, but it really, like, it's part of travel. Like, things happen. We've had to sleep on the floor of train stations and we used it there too because obviously that's not gonna